Hey everybody. I did a previous video on some of the things that ask your loctician before you decide to get Sisterlocks. And I also wanted to follow up with a brief video, and this one really will be short, on how to handle a potential grievance process, okay, with your your loctician. Before you have a grievance, I want to say that establishing that initial vibe is very important. But more important than that is listening to your intuition. We have a higher source of knowledge that is a built in part of our energetic makeup. And whenever we don't listen to it, we pay the price. And with Sisterlocks, paying that price, y'all, is hefty. So I want to say sometimes I think, it's a personality thing, but other times it has to do with how we've been socialized as women. Obviously, it's a personality thing. If you're really outspoken, you speak up and you raise hell. Then there are those of us more like me who try to be reasonable, we try to negotiate, and we can show out and act a fool, but we try not to go there first. Like we are usually trying to be as tactful and diplomatic and strategic with trying to manage a situation unless it appears that somebody's just not going to be reasonable, and then we have to unfortunately act in ways that we really don't want to act. But so what I'm saying is, before that happens though, generally speaking, there's a feeling you have or something that's going on that lets you know you kind of something's not quite sitting well with you. All right, and it could be anything. It could be the size of your lock. It could be a particular pattern. Maybe you're someone who really, really researched Sisterlocks a long time before you actually got them. All right, and you know about the typical kinds of patterns. Maybe even you went further and had a couple of loctician consultants, and you realized both of them told you you were a pattern 3, and then you were with this person that's putting in your locks, and she's telling you you're a pattern 4. I don't know. Everybody's situation could be different. But let's say that is the situation and that just keeps ringing in your head. It keeps ringing in your head. That pattern 4 is resonating with you. And you're feeling like you ain't supposed to have no pattern 4. And you keep sitting there. And you keep sitting there. And something in you is wanting to say, get up out the chair, go to the mirror, look at your hair, or ask her or tell her about the other 2 loctician consultants, or even say to her, listen, I know what your professional opinion is, but I want you to give me a pattern 3. And then, the onus is on you after that. But let's say you don't do that. And something happens a few months down the road, and you got, I think the pattern 4 is supposed to be tighter, right? And it's so tight, and your hair was a little bit, you didn't have as much volume anyway, and your locks are really close to your head, and after you get them done, it really looks like a plucked chicken, or you don't feel comfortable, or you don't feel you have the volume that maybe you would have gotten if you were a pattern 3. If a pattern 3 is the more fullness volume pattern, I thank God I didn't get that, because already even 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, my hair looked like a lion, and I didn't like that. So now it seems to be compressing more, and it's the locks seem to be getting even a little thinner. They're not thinning out unevenly, but the lock is compressing, and that's the look I like. But if I had wanted more volume and my pattern, and I could have gotten a different pattern without them having problems with, bulging and all of that, then maybe I would feel differently, but I'm satisfied. But just keep that in mind. Follow what your innards are telling you. Don't allow yourself to feel a particular way when you're getting an investment of this level, and then keep sitting there and trying to assuage your doubts. Because what's going to happen, guys, is ultimately that thing that bothered you, it was bothering you for a reason. That was Spirit's way of trying to help you be proactive. That thing could come back, and when it comes back, it's not going to feel good, because you're going to want to kick yourself, and then you're going to have to be in a situation of dis-ease when you talk to the loctician and you try to hope and pray that they're going to honor what your concerns are, and if there's something they can do about it, they fix it, or if there's nothing they can do about it, they're not going to fix it. So I'm spending the most time talking about that, because I think we as women, a lot of times, we have been conditioned through centuries. I'm not just talking about you yourself. I'm talking about your mother, her mother, past transgenerational kinds of things. To just kind of grin and bear it or to be polite. And so if you're that person and you're not always used to speaking up, it may be easy for you to sit there and just defer to them, and then that thing still bother you. I was very picky about my locks. And I had a mirror. I remember when my loctician was doing my hair, I had a mirror. So there were plenty of times where I held the mirror up while she was doing my hair because I wanted to see what she was doing. What was this big deal about these Sisterlocks? What was this rotation thing? And what did the tool look like? I wanted to actually see. And then whenever I got up to go to the bathroom, strategically, I was looking at my hair, checking it out. I didn't know that much about locks. I didn't do that much research, to be honest with you, in the beginning. I knew I was tired of dealing with that natural hair and it was getting tangled all the time and I needed something easy. So I loved these things from the beginning when I realized they weren't going to be big and they didn't have to look too matted and I could still do stuff like this with it. I said, oh my gosh, those are beautiful. I'm going to get those. But so I didn't do a lot of research to begin with. And as I mentioned before, I was fortunate to have a loctician who I didn't have problems with. So because I didn't have problems with it, I was, I don't know necessarily the things that I did bring up. She was fine with it and she separated a couple locks for me. But I had that concern early on and I remember looking at them and I'm like, okay, the parts look the same pretty much, guys, as the other ones, but it was just thick. The lock was thick. My hair was too dense in that area. And I'm like, and this was very early on. I think I told you it was it was right at my first retightening or for sure by the second one. I think it was the first one, but I'm like, okay, this is feeling thicker and the hair is dense. Can you separate these? And what I did was, not can you separate them? That might have been a little bit further down the line when I found more than one or two. But I do remember, guys, to make it easier, I had already began to unravel them. I don't remember if I asked her before I went in or whatever. All I know, because this has been a while, guys, and I want to make sure I'm being as honest and transparent as possible. I do remember unraveling it so that she didn't have to be concerned with that as well. I was trying to be considerate because the issue becomes, how many are they going to have to redo? And then who's going to be taking them out and doing the work? I try to make things as simple for people as possible. I try to be reasonable and I try to put myself in their shoes. So in trying to be proactive, I had already unraveled some of them anyway. But the point, guys, again, is just to try to listen to your intuition. If the lock is all the way open at the end and you're not feeling good about that because when you start to wash it's just going to do this crazy stuff and they told you whatever they told you, you stop right there, then and there, and you let them know, because remember, you don't pay them until after the service is completed anyway. So this is your opportunity. As long as, I say this all the time because I've had a lot of bad experiences, guys, with people coming in to do work. As long as you have the money, you have the power. And it's unfortunate, but it's the society that we live in, and everybody doesn't live up to a certain ethical level of doing business. Once they have your money, they have the power. I learned that the hard way, paying people for jobs that they hadn't completed, telling me they're going to come back and finish the painting, or telling me they're going to do this or that, and they smile and they look nice and all of that stuff, or making an appointment and being a no-show instead of me taking a deposit for the appointment because they sounded so sweet and they asked me all these questions and they knew that this was what they wanted. Once you have given the money, people respond differently. It's unfortunate. Try not to be that type of business person yourself. But as long as you have the money, you have the power. So in the very beginning, be very meticulous about viewing what is going on. Take a mirror with you and be watching your hair as it's being done, asking every question under the sun, because this is your money and this is your opportunity to make sure that you get the style and the level of service that you deserve, because guys, as we know, ladies, guys, this is not cheap. Okay, so what happens when you're not satisfied? Now, I don't have a particular process that I'm advocating, but I'm just going to tell you some things based on common sense in terms of dealing with people. First and foremost, relax and don't overreact. That's the first thing. Always remember that a lot of times when we respond, first responders are always very emotional, and we feel somehow we've been wronged. And usually once we calm down and some hours go by or a couple days go by, we regroup, we come back into our center, and we have a level of balance that we didn't have before. So calm down first. Okay, remember, where there's a will, there's a way. It can be fixed. Whether that person fixes it or somebody else fixes it or there's some inconvenience, it can be fixed. Now, when you call up the person and you explain whatever it is, choose your words very carefully. And you know how it is when you're dealing with any type of difficulty, whether it's a parent conference in the classroom or anything else, we're always taught, say the positive first. So I'm going to suggest the same thing in this situation. Start out with the positive first. Okay, and you're not beating around the bush. You're not messing with anybody. You're just saying, I'm so happy with my locks. I love them. I really think you did a great job. And this is probably true. A lot of people have asked me about them. And, a couple people, I've given them your information because they're considering getting locks. And that will be true because you will have a lot of people that you'll be passing on the name of your loctician to. So start out with something positive and just say, I've got this concern though. There are a few locks in the center I was a little concerned about because I really feel like they could be a little thinner. And I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of taking one of them out. And when looking at the volume or the density of the hair, I know it could be separated. Would you mind doing that with a few of them? You just are being very diplomatic. You are being very, tactful in how you say it. You are going to go in with the positive first, and then you're going to go in with something a little bit more constructive about whatever it is that you want to accomplish. That's just going to be the best way. Try to stay out of a conversation with money. Once it gets to money, there's already tension. And both people are feeling defensive. You're feeling defensive because you paid the money. She's feeling defensive because she spent the money probably and ain't trying to give it back or doesn't want to have to consider giving it back. And then by the time you give the money back, you have a bad review or there's a situation that just doesn't feel good. We want everybody to be happy. We want to try to please everybody, right? So you want everybody to win if everybody can win. And when we have these situations like this, let's just try to resolve them, right? Because we went into it with the best of intentions. And again, if you watch the previous video, you want to find out what kind of grievance process they have in place anyway, before you even choose that individual. That's very important. How people manage conflict is important, y'all, because there's some people who are very matter of fact, who don't mince words, and because of that, they come off a little rude sometimes. So your energy and the way you approach that person is to raise their vibration so that already they're not on the defense. And remember, people interact with you how you interact with them. If you go in with some heavy energy and you don't use the intensity of your positive energy to raise the vibration of the situation, you're going to entrain to their vibration. And once you entrain to their vibration, y'all going to both be down there, and it is a potential to get crazy. And the bottom line is, by that time, they already have your money. Okay, that's the reality. By that time, they already have your money. And when they're arrogant and could be a little cocky, they know they already have your money. So they may be willing to just kick you to the curb. You don't know, especially for some of these prices I hear people are paying. Some people I heard paying. This one lady said something about $2,500. I said, "Oh Lord, no! That's a lot of money. I think I definitely wouldn't be able to have Sisterlocks if it costs that much money." So the way you go in, the energy in which you go in. Now let's say that should really be enough right there, depending upon how high maintenance you are. Now, if you're high maintenance and every week you coming in with a problem, guys, at some point they may be feeling some kind of way, all right? I don't know what kind of person you are. Some people turn their whole head over to somebody else. I was never like that. I started fooling with minds in different ways from the very beginning. I started making corrections and doing things, knowing that I was going to be fully assuming any risks or anything that happened to my head, and it just never became a problem. So I like to be somewhat self-reliant. If I had to today to retighten my hair, I could probably do it. But I have no interest whatsoever and trying to maintain over 570 something locks. But you just never know what your situation might be. And one thing that I got to tell you from the very beginning when I got these locks, one thing that kind of gave me pause initially was, damn, I'm going to have to rely on somebody else forever, because I know I'm not trying to lock all those things back up. Or either I'm going to have to teach my daughters how to do it or something. But I was like, I'm gonna have to rely on somebody else. And for me, Tunisia Ali, I don't care what it is. I'm the person that when I go out to eat and I like the food, I come home and make it. That's just the type of person I am. So I gotta be able to trust myself to somebody and to give up that sort of autonomy that is not something that I'm really not used to. So knowing that this is going to be the individual potentially, because you would like to stay with the same person if you could. Knowing that that's going to be the individual who you're going to be turning that over to, you just want to make sure you feel good about that. And if self-reliance is not always your thing, then you are totally going to be dependent on somebody else for everything, for every question, for every piece of matted hair you have, that sort of thing. Thank God for YouTube today, though, because we do have options, right? We have information at our fingertips. So let's say that you have a grievance and the conversation is not going that well. Ooh. Now you're seeing the true colors of this person. Ooh. You already paid them the money. Ooh. Okay, and you're trying to figure out what you can do. Okay. You could raise hell, I guess. You could start a YouTube channel. You could put their stuff out there. You could start complaining. You could get out in front of their little salon or their house with a little picket sign. You could contact the Sisterlocks folks and start a letter writing campaign. You could do all of that. But I doubt that that's something that you really want to do, and you don't want to spend your time doing that. So you want to try to see, is there a way that you can de-escalate the situation? Because ultimately, you got these locks, they did them, you have given them I don't know how much money between the install and the retightenings. Can this relationship be salvaged? Is it salvageable? I don't like to end things on bad terms, and maybe that's a problem I have. I guess somebody could say that that's an issue. But that's just my nature. I like to feel good about things. And when you, and I would just argue that if you put that kind of money into something, you want to feel good about it. You don't want to buy a car from somebody and start having problems. And then that person tells you, listen, it's been a 90-day warranty. This was a buy as you go, pay as you go, buy as is type situation. Sorry. No, you're going to feel some kind of way. But you're maybe on the wrong side of it when they already have your money. So I'm just going to say, if the conversation seems to be going downhill and taking a dive, maybe you need to, just say, you know what, can we talk about this tomorrow? I want to take some time to sort of think a little bit more about this and to see if I can come up with any creative ways that maybe we can discuss this and both of us can be happy, because I really do appreciate the work that you did. And I'd like us to continue to be able to feel good about this. I know that as a businesspreneur, soulpreneur, whatever you want to call it, you want your clients to be happy. And I definitely want to be happy, having invested what I invested and having chosen you from amongst, 5, 6, 4, 3 other consultants. I want to feel good about this. And we spent a lot of time together. So I think it's important that we both feel like we can be heard. And I want to make sure that I can hear you, and then I want to make sure you can hear me. So maybe can we set up some time where we can kind of do a face-to-face, or where we can revisit this conversation? That's about as much as I'm going to say on this topic, because if they're still unreasonable after that, then you have a problem. And it's an unfortunate situation. And at that point, then you have to decide, how far are you willing to go? Do you want that letter writing campaign, just jokes, but maybe not jokes? Or are you going to have to find somebody else to repair your locks or to do what it is you want to do? Or are you just going to be stuck, or will you have to start all over again? And I don't wish that on anybody. So I hope you benefited from this video. Gosh, this is 19 minutes too. I'm so sorry. But if y'all watch the video and I get even a couple of good comments, I'm going to think that this is okay. So hopefully you managed to find something in here that made some sense to you or something that you can resonate with. Again, you're with Tanisha Ali with Tanisha's Locks. And if there's a particular video you want me to do, let me know. Subscribe to the channel. Want to grow the channel. Also, you can see me talking about conscious issues that concern the feminine energy, women, and I'm not a feminist. But I talk about issues related to healing, issues related to raising awareness. I'm all about prosperity, consciousness, and wealth creation. I'm a certified life coach. I'm an educator and have been a successful entrepreneur upwards of, I am 47. I want to say 22 years. I think it's 22 years, guys. It's either, how can I not know if it's 15 or 22? Let me see. It's 15. It's more like 15 and a half going on 16. So I'm all about inner renewal, enlightenment, increasing levels of spirituality, and stepping outside of the matrix to live, your best life, your best version. I know it's cliche-ish, but to live the best life, to live the life that you deserve to live. And honestly, the lock journey was a part of that. It was a part of me letting go of some pretenses and some other things and going natural, like getting to the core of who I really was. So this lock journey has been a very freeing journey, and I'm happy to share it with you guys, and I'm happy that you guys spent some time today sharing with me or sharing in what it is I had to say. So I love you. I love you. And I hope that you come back for another video.